Hello everyone, welcome back. And today we are going to do this row number 40, which is Deloitte's technical round. And this was for 3 years of experience. And what we're going to do today is that we will go through each and every question. We'll try to see if we need to do something practically or if we need to do something on Salesforce screen. And by the end of the interview, we will give our verdict, whether it was a tough interview or a not so tough interview. Okay. And then we will have our chat session as well. Okay, so Deloitte, so little bit information about Deloitte. Deloitte has two you can say companies. One is Deloitte USA and one is Deloitte India. Deloitte USA basically hires uh, for consultant who works on international projects, global projects, whereas the other entities, Deloitte India is a separate entity which hires only for the project or mostly for the projects which are local projects or which are India-based project where your client will be local client. Okay. So when it comes to compare them, Deloitte USI is way better than Deloitte India. And the policies and everything is also varies from those two entities. So if you have interview with Deloitte USI, then they will ask good interview. Like Deloitte is known to take good technical interviews. They will go deep down and they will ask good technical questions. They will not focus much on the theory. They will focus more on the practical experiences. They will focus more on your practical knowledge and they will try to see whether you have actually done those things or not, rather than just knowing the theory of it. So a quick tip, whenever you give interview for Deloitte, go good with the fundamentals, try to explain things with the help of example, try to connect with the interviewer and try to understand what he's trying to say, and don't go a lot in the theoretical side of it because that sometimes irritates interviewer, but because they are more focused on knowing the practical aspect of your technical knowledge, right? So go with more of these solution approach, try to give examples of those things, be good with the fundamentals, be good with the governor limits and all. And let's treat the interview as a technical discussion, but also you have a responsibility to impress the interviewer. In the tough market like these, it is not only necessary for you to just answer the question, but also to make sure that your answer stands out. So you'll have to give answer, you have to give an answer in a way that is better than other candidates as well. Okay. So with that thought, let's start today's discussion. The first question is of admin. So it says that if we have 1,000 users and at profile level, they all have create, read, update, and delete access. Okay. Now I want to give one user only read access. How can we do that? So here, what he want to say is that one user should only have read access and other 999 users should have all the create, read, update, and delete permissions. What will be your approach to do something like this? Okay. So if I ask this question to Divisha, are you able to answer this? Are you available to answer this?
I don't think I'll be able to answer. I'll be confused.
Okay, I think your voice is not clear. Let's give it to Avdesh. Hi, Avdesh.
Hi, Mohit. Yes. Mohit, as per my understanding, like what we can do from the profile level, we will remove the access and we will create a permission set with this CRUD access and we grant this permission sets to all 999 users. And for one users, we have remain with this profile.
Yes. Yeah, that will be a better approach because what happens is that couple of or in the question like this, few candidates may say that they will create an additional profile and that profile will only have read permission. So what they will do is that now that they will have two different new profiles, one will have just read access, one already has everything, and then they will switch between profiles. But interviewer expects in question like this is that you will go with the recommended approach, and what Salesforce suggests is that go with the base permissions on profile and then extend it via permission set. So you will create a base profile which will just have read permission and then you will extend the permission via the permission set. So you will create a permission which will have all permissions on this particular object, create, read, update, and delete, and you will assign that permission set to all 999 users whereas one user will only have the profile, and that profile will only grant them just the read permission. So this was a correct answer, answered by Avdesh. Well done. Okay. And then there was a question about, this was a scenario given to that user. It says that we already have, let's say, n number of accounts, and there is a field on account which says saving. Okay, the name of that field is saving. And then we have related contacts on that account. And on contact, we have a field called balance. Okay, now this field stores the value of saving divided by total number of related contact this particular account has. Okay, so let's say there is an account ABC which has 10 related contact. Okay, and the value of saving field is, let's say, 1000. Okay, so balance field on contact will have a value which is saving divided by total number of contacts. That means 1000 divided by 10. Okay, that will be the value of this balance. Now you have to update this value programmatically in the contact. Okay, so you will have to update the contact record here, because balance is a field on contact record. How will you do that? Okay, that is the question. Okay, now let me pick. Yeah, Chandru, you tell.
Uh, Hi, Makit. I have a question. I have question about first question. So what about restriction rules? Why can't we use restriction rules?
See, restriction rules, first, restriction rules are not the fully fledged project. They are more towards the record level permission. Okay, here we are talking about the object level permission. When we want to hide certain records from the user, then we go for the restriction rules. Here we are talking about the access of that object, which is object level permission. So that is why we have to use the profiles and permission set. Okay, when it comes to hiding a particular record, then we will go towards the scoping rule and restriction rules, but not for the object level permissions. Okay.
Yeah, okay, Makit. Thanks.
Now, did you understand the second question?
No, Makit, I'm still going through it. Just
Anybody
give me a few
wants to
minutes.
take this question? Second question? Just assume that you got this question in the interview. Yes, Mayuri.
Yes, Mohit. So what we can do is we can create a Rolex summary trigger which goes ahead and calculates that value automatically. The value of the balance value that is given over here. So what we can do is we can put a count on the total number of contacts and add that count value account, and we can save the balance as a formula field. And as and when the value gets updated, the count gets updated, the formula field will also get updated accordingly.
Okay. Now we have already existing account. We've created a trigger which will work for the records which will get created or updated. What about the records which are already there in system, like the past data?
Okay.
Will we update it?
Okay. No, in that case, then this will not work, right? This will work only for the record method.
If you read the question, the interviewer told that there are n number of existing account. The reason why he's telling existing account is that he wants you to consider the existing data as well. Okay. So sometimes it is also about the reading or understanding the question. Obviously, when interviewer will tell you in interview, he will obviously give more detail. Here it is just written, so I'm just reading it out. But trigger is one way. So there are two ways to do this. Okay. One, which this candidate answered, we can do it via batch, because batch will also handle the legacy data. But in that case, we'll have to schedule it, because otherwise it will not work for new data. So batch will update all the existing accounts, older accounts, but what happens for the accounts which we are going to create in future? So what we can recommend here is that either we go with the batch approach and schedule it for every day, every hour, or whatever comfortable with the business, or we go with the trigger and we update the older data with some data load or one-time data load activity. So there are two approaches we can recommend here. Okay, but if interviewer asks what will be the better approach, it depends on if they are okay with that field, that balance field to get updated on the daily basis, but not immediately, then we can go with the batch epics approach and schedule it for every single day or for 24 hours, 12 hours, whatever frequency we want to select. But if they want it immediately, like every time new contact get created or everything, it should be updated on all the related contacts and all. In that case, we'll have to go with the trigger. For the older accounts, we will have to do a one-time data load. We'll have to do some data loading via the custom file creation and all. So these two approaches we can recommend here. And based on what they say, we will select the final approach. Okay. Both those solutions are good. It depends on business, which solution they are okay with. Okay. But if they want that thing to happen immediately, then we'll have to go with the trigger. And for older data, we'll have to do one-time data load. Okay. And be very flexible with the interviewer in questions like this, because he may say that no, this is not good approach or that is not good approach. It all depends on how business wants to see this, how comfortable business is with your approach. As a consultant, your role is to recommend the solution. Your role is to give them what are the possible solutions and then propose what you think will be a good solution. Ultimately, they will be deciding. Okay. So be not, I mean, you need not to be very rigid in terms of, no, this is the only solution. Okay. Never do that in the interviews. Okay. So here also, if you see, the candidate has written that interviewer asked him to write the code till the execute method. That means he agreed with the batch epic solution and wanted to see how will you write it. So all the people who are joining this today or watching this may try to write the batch epics for this as well. When you say that we do not get enough options or enough opportunity to write batch epics in my real project, this is the scenario you can try on your own in your own dev work. Okay. My student, definitely try this and come back to me if you face any problem with that. Okay. Okay. On the first session, I told you that you have to do an analysis on yourself, that what are your weak areas, write them down and come back to me with how do you can resolve that. Only very few students came back to me, which is not a right thing. Okay. Either you feel that there are no areas where you are not so good at. In that case, let me take your mock and I can definitely decide if that is the case. But do try that. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next question. Can we pass one as a parameter in future method? Yeah, I think so. I mean, passing one as a parameter in future method, I don't think there is any issue. Like, one is obviously a primitive. We can pass an integer, and that should not be any issue. See, there are a couple of questions we get in future method. That is, how can we pass the list of S object? Why list of S object cannot be passed? Why list of non-primitive data type cannot be passed? All those kind of questions I have covered in our sessions. And those who are not comfortable with them can go through the future method recording. You will get everything. But the answer to this question is straightforward. Yes, we can do that. There is no problem with that. Or could be question might be different as well. But if this is the question, answer is yes. As a integer, we can pass one. Okay. Because passing primitive data type is allowed. Okay. How can we implement future method in trigger?
Mohit, one question.
Well,
For question number 2, like, can't we do it with formula field?
can't we do it with formula field? You can try that. You can try that. Just that you will have to see on one contact, you will have to create a formula to fetch account, not only account, but all the related contacts as well. Okay. So you can try, if you can try, that is fine. Okay. Do try and let me know if you are able to get the results. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Let's take the next question. How can we implement future method in trigger and what trigger event we will use? Okay, let me give this question to you. And I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, so can you help me with that?
It's Trushnali.
Trushnali. Okay, Trushnali. So how can I call a future method from trigger, and what trigger event we will use?
I'm not sure
Okay.
about
See,
this.
this is not a trick question. How can we call a future method from trigger? Normally, the way we call the normal Apex methods, there is nothing new we need to do to call a future method. A method becomes a future method when we annotate it with the @future annotation. But that is where we define a method. In terms of calling it inside the trigger, yes, that is possible. We do it a lot. In fact, all the callouts we do from trigger happens via the future method only. So there are extra information given in this question that what are the event we will use. We can use it with all the events. And there is nothing additional we need to do to call the future method from the trigger. So it is simply the way we call normal methods, we have to use the same way to do that as well. Okay. All right. It is just a kind of extra additional information given to trick you. Okay. There is nothing new
Uh,
on. Go
but
ahead.
should we also mention that it is not the right approach to call a future method from the trigger?
See, if you are doing a call out, then you will do the future method via the trigger as well, via the trigger only, right? If you'll have to do the call outs from trigger, that is done via the future method only. So it is not, see, it is not wrong to call a future method from trigger, but it is wrong to do the call outs from trigger without using future method, because in that case, your whole transaction will be open unless you get the result from your call out. Okay, so wrong is doing the call outs from future method, but if you're doing it via future method, that is okay, because in that case, it will break the transaction and it will happen in the asynchronous thread. Okay.
Hello, Shan.
Yep. Hello.
Yeah, just now I joined. I have one situation here, that future method, right? I have came across actually. Basically, like we are writing to write the trigger, right? At that time, we are inserting the cases. At the same time, we need to delete. So at that time, future method will be useful. Future method, we need to write that future method, and there we can query everything, and there we can delete that. And same that future method, we can call it in the trigger.
Hmm. Yeah, that, I mean, use cases there are so many use cases, but it is not wrong to call future method from trigger. It should just have a logical use case. Okay. Okay, Chaitanya, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Because I remember you told us not to use any future call out from the trigger because it will call again and again on every trigger.
Okay. Let me clarify one thing here. Okay, so let's say if you are inside a trigger.new, there are 200 records you are inserting, and if you are doing it inside the loop, what will happen is that you will keep on calling the future method again and again, because you've got 200 records. For every record, it will do a future method call, and you have a limited future number calls, right? So very soon it will hit the limit of number of jobs you can add there in the future method call. Okay, so that is why it is not a recommended way to do it inside the loop or something. But if let's say you have to do a call out from trigger, in that case you obviously will do that call out via the future method. Okay, otherwise if you do a call out inside the trigger without using future method, then you might hit the governor limit or might hit the CPU timeout. There are other kind of exceptions you may get. So that is why if you have to do the call out from trigger, you do the future method call, and then inside that future method, you do the call out. So what happens is that whatever you are doing in that call out, that will be separated from your synchronous transaction, and you will be safe from those governor limits. Okay. Yes, Mayuri, go ahead.
Yes, right.
Go
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Anybody else?
Yeah, go ahead, Mayuri. I did not get
Okay.
you.
Yes. So, actually, this is regarding the before trigger and after trigger context. So, in before trigger, so I just wanted to clarify this. So, you mentioned, like in your notes, that in before trigger, we can directly update any field of an object without using any DML statements. So, I just wanted to understand this. And in case of when it comes to in case of after triggers, right? So in after triggers, we have to basically write like once we make any update for the trigger.new. So in that case, we'll go ahead and write that. I mean, we need to put that particular record in a list and then update that particular list, right? I mean, the following the normal the bulkification process of the trigger. That is how it should happen, right?
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay, just
okay, see, in the before trigger, what happens is that because record has not been saved yet, so let's say you are uploading something or record is getting updated something, record has not been saved yet. So whatever assignment you do in the trigger will also be included in the updates which are happening, and then at the end it will get updated. But if it is a after insert case, then most of the time we use after insert case to update any related record. Okay, related record or to operations on the related record. So it's not like you cannot update the same record. You can do by, giving a reference, creating an instance of it and passing the same ID, but that is not a recommend. It is not recommended to update the same record in the after context. Okay, it is recommended to be done in the before context. But if there is a use case, then and if interviewer asks you that is it possible or not, forget about the best practices. Is it possible to update the same record in the after context or not? Yes, it is possible. But that is not recommended because you are referring the same record and creating an instance of it. That is not a recommended way to do that. Okay, you might get the recursion as well. Okay.
got
You
it.
just tricking the system that this is a different record. I'm passing a different ID, but you are actually updating the same record. Okay, so
Okay.
that's very good.
Sure. Got it.
Let's
Thank
move
you.
on to the next question, guys. Okay, how to call Apex class in Lightning Flow and pass value to each other? Tell me. Okay, let me pick a new challenger. Okay,
At
who
the
want
rate
to answer
invisible
this?
method.
Who want to answer this? Chandan, you want to answer this? Chandan is saying Surya. Who is Surya?
Hi, bro.
Yeah, hi.
Uh,
First you tell
just a,
I'm not getting who is talking. Okay. Some strange.
my name is Surya.
Yeah, hi Surya, tell me.
Can
Tell me, how can we call the Apex from flow and how will we be able to pass data from flow to Apex and then from Apex to flow back?
uh, sorry, Mohit, I don't know.
Okay. All right, no problem. Let me log into Salesforce because we have done this during the class. I can show an example here. And there are participants who have raised hand. That means they know the answer. Yes, Milin, tell me.
Yeah, actually, we can use action to call the Apex. And if we want to call the method from Apex class, we can mention at the rate invocable method. And if we want to set some variables in that Apex class, we can use at the rate invocable variable, and we can set those variables in flow.
Yeah, and how will I be able to pass data from Apex to flow?
From Apex to flow.
Okay.
Passing the parameter
Yeah.
in the class, and also like we can also mention at the same time the limitations of the invocable method.
Yes.
Yes, and
Get a question, try to take the maximum advantage of it. Okay, this is the kind of question which by the time you will be explaining and everything, you not only explain the feature, but also explain the limitations of it, that
Yeah.
And also provide the solutions. Obviously, it depends on how much time this interviewer is giving you, but within the limited time also, whatever you say, try to make it short, crisp, and effective. Okay, do not just say the random things. Say effective things within this short span of time. So let me just show you. We have
We can use a system.invocable, right? Interface in the Apex class.
we have to use the invocable method annotation in the Apex method. Okay. And let me just find out which flow we used. Okay, there is a flow we uh, created for this. Just give me a second. I'll just find it.
Sir, it can be related to opportunity because I have an example
Yeah,
written on that.
we did something on opportunity, right?
Yes, right.
Yes.
Opportunity handler from
Opportunity
flow.
handler from flow. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
This is the class we used. And do you know which flow it was? I have done it with the batch.
After sale.
Sorry,
I think opportunity after sale.
opportunity after sale. Okay, let's see. Yes, right. So what we did here is that we have what we need to do is from here we have to select the action. Okay, and from action we will get all the Apex classes method which are annotated with @invocable method. So here get opportunity from flow. This is a method which has been annotated with @invocable method. Okay, and we have given it label as opportunity flow handler. So if you find here, you will get the opportunity flow handler, and then you will get this class, you will get this method. Okay, and whatever parameters you have as an input parameter for this class, this is the input parameter. We are using a wrapper class input param. So we have opportunity list and we have an account. So these are the two input parameters. You can pass the value from here, and you can define what is the account ID and what is the list of opportunity, and then save it. That will be passed to your Apex method, and then you will use it. And here you are returning the list of output param. This is your output param where you are passing the list of contact and list of cases. So if you see this flow in the advanced setting, you will see these are your output param. So here you will create two different variable. One will hold the list of cases, one will hold the list of contact, and they will get value from Apex if it is returning something. Okay. And then in your flow, you can use them. You can iterate through this. You can use it. You can display it, whatever you want to do it. So you passed data to Apex and you received data from Apex. Okay, I'm going to copy this and going to put it on chat for you all, but try to use it with your own example. And I think this will be a good practical thing to do for those people who have not done it practically yet. Okay. So let me just a second. Huh? Okay, you can later on save it. Flow to Apex. I'm just going to save it, share it with you all, and just put the link here. Okay.
And to call a flow from Apex class, we will be using flow class, right? Flow name.
Yes. If you see here, in your flow, you have to first select action, And then here you will just use, you need not to write anything. Whatever label you have provided here, if you will not provide any label, then you will have to write down the method name directly. Otherwise, if you have provided label, then search it via label, because that label will be visible here. So what is the label here? Opportunity flow handler. If you write down opportunity flow handler, you will be able to see this label. Otherwise, it will be written as this opportunity flow handler from flow, which is your method name. So you search it via method name or the label, and you will be able to get it here. And then you will get an option to pass the data and everything. Okay. Is it clear to you guys?
But sir, to call a flow from the Apex class, we will be using flow
Or a
class,
flow
right?
from, okay.
Yes, flow dot
So,
start method.
no. See, first you will have to call, you are calling a Apex class from flow, and then if that Apex class can pass the data to flow back, okay, as a return of this class. As a return value, it is passing the data to it. Now, are you asking how can we call a flow from Apex?
Yes, right. Inside the Apex class.
Inside the Apex class, you want to call the flow. Let me see. Okay, we hardly do that, but let me see. How to call a flow from Apex class. You can call it programmatically, not this. Call flows from Apex using flow. No, that is not what I'm looking for.
I don't think there is any such way to call flows from Apex.
Yes, sir. Open the
can
same
call it.
link
We can
they
we
mentioned.
have you
Yes,
class.
we can call.
There should be.
Sir, scroll down, you might find the Apex code. Yes, here it is.
Yeah, so
Code.
this is what they do, programmatically creating the instance of it. एक second, just a second. Okay, you can check it. I'm putting it on chat, okay? You can check it, but very rarely we do that, okay? So because see, flow are for the separate purpose. Like if it is a record triggered flow, that will be triggered by the record. If it is a screen flow, then it will have a button or anything else. But very rarely it will have a case where we will need to call a flow from an Apex class, okay? Because Apex class itself is dependent on something else to get launched, right? So from that, it will not be a very good idea to call another flow, but yeah, if you want to, you can try that, okay? But should have a proper use case, okay? It is possible to invoke a flow from the Apex. All right. Anybody, if you face problem accessing any link, you just tell me on chat. I'll see. Okay, let's move on to the next question, guys, which is how to call LWC inside flow and vice versa. Now, who want to take this? Neha, will you be able to answer? Okay.
I will not take it.
Okay. Hey, hi, Hanila. How are you? Are you able to hear me? You're not listening. Okay.
Hello, Mohit.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, how to call LWC inside flow. So it's a screen flow, right?
Yes, so that is what you have to clarify in your first answer, that whenever we call about calling a flow from LWC, it is screen. You cannot
Screen.
call the auto launch flow or the record triggered flow. So
Yeah.
as a candidate, as an interviewer, he is expecting you to tell this. Okay, he will not be telling you. It is you who will be telling him that we can only call screen flow from LWC and LWC from a screen flow. Okay, as a candidate,
Okay.
who will tell this, and then
Yeah.
you will have to explain how. Okay.
So if you want to call a flow from LWC, so in the HTML we can write with lightning flow. There is one that we can use, and in that we can add that API name of the flow, and it will be launched from the LWC.
And what about calling LWC from flow?
LWC from flow, in that case, I think I'm not pretty much sure, but in the XML file, we need to define the properties for that. Like if we are taking like a string or integer value, then we need to define in the target itself, the config part that we need to define. And when we open the flow and when we embed that LWC in the flow, in the parameter, we will see the values that in the flow itself.
Okay, so because we have not done this thing during our class on flow, let's do one part practically and one part will be your homework. So I will be telling how to call a LWC from flow. What I give as a home assignment is how to call a flow from your LWC. Okay, everybody need to complete that home assignment as well, and let's do this the first thing practically here, how to call a LWC from flow. Okay, sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it might
Sir,
take.
I have a doubt.
Go ahead.
For calling and flow inside the LWC component, should it be a screen flow only, or it can be other flow also?
You can try all the flows and then you will get to know.
Yes.
That's why I want you to try it. Then only you'll
Okay.
be able to tell if it is just the screen flow or auto launch flow as well. Okay, so that is
Okay,
what
sir.
you will try. But what I am telling here is how to call a LWC from a flow. Okay, and that we can only do via the screen flow. Okay, and other will also be just the screen flow. Okay, but you will try it on your own. Okay, that is what I tell. When we read all these blogs and all, it is so important that we also do that practically, because if we just read blog, our answer will not have 100% surety, because we have not done it practically. We will not be 100% sure. Okay, and interviewers have a power to know that, like the way you tell, they will understand you have just read about it, and then they will dig deep on it and you will get stuck. Okay, so things like these should be done practically. All right, let's do one thing. Let's create a screen flow and a lightning web component and do it. Okay, so let me go to the lightning
Hi,
studio.
Mohit. This is Mayuri here. I'm sorry to interrupt. Just one quick question.
Go ahead, no worries.
So, yes, so there is so I have a requirement right now that I'm working on. So in that requirement, right, so we are creating the screen flows, and that screen flow is getting triggered at different stages. I mean, not exactly stage, from different sources. So the first point is from using a quick action. The second point is within another screen flow, and the third point is from a button, right? So, and at three different stages, I'm updating three different fields, right? So, in order to fulfill this criteria, do I need to use three different screen flows, or can it be fulfilled using like one single screen flow?
Okay, it depends on what you are doing inside that, to be very frank. But I don't think you need to create three separate screen flow, but we'll check that. Let's just
Sure,
come to this and then go through your problems. Okay.
sure, sure.
So here, what I'm doing, I'm creating a new Lightning Web component. I'm naming it as flow to LWC. Okay, and I am just selecting target as flow screen. Okay, and I'm going to save this. Okay. Now, there are few things we have to do in the let's do our tradition. How we do that is lightning card, and let's just do title as LWC component. And here, let's create an input tag. And give it a label, or we can say type will obviously be text, and value as here, let's call it value passed by LW, sorry, by flow. Okay, save it. Let's create a variable in the JavaScript file with the same name. You have to use the API decorator, so you will have to also import it. Okay, because we are passing this value from the flow, we will have to append it with the @API decorator, and we will have to import that as well. Okay. And let's go to the meta file of it, because in the meta file we will have to make some changes. Okay, we will have to define the target configs. And inside target configs, we will have target. I'll explain it then. Inside that, we will have a property tab. Okay, now target configs will have targets, which will have the same name as like the first screen. And the property will have to have a name and value and label. Okay. Label will be value flow, and value will be same as what we have in JS. And will be defined in the JavaScript. This type is on text. Okay. Okay, so what we have done, we have defined targets config. What we are trying to do here is that we are telling for this target lightning flow screen, this is the label, okay, for the value, for this value. Okay, we will see this actually when we pass the value via flow. So don't worry for it right now, we will change it. This is our lightning web component we have created, and this should be available for flow to use. Okay, now let's go back to our Salesforce screen and create a screen flow. So create a screen flow, and here let's get a screen. Let's give it a label, flow to LWC. Okay. Now here, what I want, one input field which will pass data to flow, data to LWC. So on the flow, we will have a text field. Okay, we will call it name in flow. Okay. And this name in flow will pass the value to the LWC component. LWC component is what? Flow to LWC. Okay. So flow to LWC we will add on the page. And when we come to this flow to LWC, let's give it a name. Flow to LWC. And this is the value passed by flow. So here you will have to provide the value. See, this is the same value passed by flow which we have displayed, which we have defined in the target config. In the target config, if you see the property here, we have given it a label as value passed by flow. Okay, so this property will hold the value which will be passed by, and then this will be assigned to this API property. Okay, because we have given it same name. So that is how this will be passed from flow to your LWC component. Okay. This could be a bit confusing for people who are doing it for the first time, but this is super easy. And what value it will be? The value which we have written in this field. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. Name in the flow is the text value which we will be writing in this field. Okay. So this is what user will be giving input, and this is the value which we will have to write, pass from your flow to your LWC. So name in flow, this is the variable value which we will be writing in the flow, and then that will be assigned to your LWC component. Okay. We mark it as done. Save it. Flow to LWC. Done. Save it. Let's activate it. Okay, now let's put it on a page. Let's go to account. Let's create a new button, new action. And
We can also try debugging it.
yeah, let's do it in this way for which will be easier for most of the people. Here I'll also be able to show you how this gets displayed. Okay, so flow to LWC demo is the LWC is the flow we created. Okay, and you can give it any label. Flow to LWC. And that's where it is. Now let's put it on the page layout. Okay. Save it. Let's go to account. And then let's select this one. This is your flow to LWC. Click on it. See, the data I'm typing on the flow input field is getting passed to your Lightning Web Component. So this is how we pass data from flow to LWC. Now the second part of it is how we can pass the data from LWC to flow. That is your home assignment. That is what you will have to do before the next session. Okay, will you do that? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Write LWC code on UI. Write LWC code on UI. We have 4 fields, and on update button, Okay, on UI, we have 4 fields and 1 update button. Okay, on the button click, we will have to update the current record. Okay, so simple. This is a very simple LWC scenario. Interviewer want to see that how comfortable you are in writing the LWC code. Okay, 4 fields are there on page, and there is a button. On click of that button, you will have to write an event handler and then update the actual record. Okay, this is a very simple basic LWC question you may get when they want to see how comfortable you are in writing LWC code. And I hope that everybody from this class will be able to do that. Not sure about the YouTube people, but if you have any problem with this, you want me to help you with that, just ping me and I can take a session on that. But this is very easy. Like in the first 5-6 sessions you learn LWC, you will be able to do that. Okay. So I expect you to be able to write code for this. Now, next is something which I want to be taken by. क्या बात है, आज तो पिंटू ने ज्वाइन किया. पिंटू, आर यू देयर?
यस मोहित भाई.
हाँ भाई, बताओ, आप इसका आंसर दो. लाइटनिंग रिकॉर्ड फॉर्म.
भाई मैं 3 महीने से हॉस्पिटल में ही था इसीलिए मैं गायब था ग्रुप से.
मुझे पता था. आशीष.
इसीलिए मैं
आशीष, योर टर्न. आर यू ऑन कॉल? बताओगे?
क्या बताना है?
भाई देखो, डिफरेंस बताना है लाइटनिंग रिकॉर्ड फॉर्म एंड लाइटनिंग रिकॉर्ड एडिट फॉर्म में. ठीक है?
Okay, okay, yeah. So both are the most basic form of LDS which we use. In Lightning record form, we'll just simply get a form. I think in Lightning record form we cannot edit, and in Lightning record edit form we can edit the fields, something like this.
देखो,
I'm forgetting it.
रिकॉर्ड फॉर्म में भी एडिट कर सकते हैं. इसमें डिफरेंट मोड्स होते हैं. व्यू मोड होता है, एडिट मोड होता है, रीड मोड होता है ना? इसमें
हाँ हाँ.
मोड्स होता है. ठीक है, तो अभी ऐसे जवाब नहीं देना है जैसे आप दे रहे हो. ठीक है, इसको बहुत अच्छे से रिफाइन करके देना है. ठीक है, क्योंकि मैंने यहाँ पे आपको एक लिंक भेजा है. ठीक है, डिफरेंस बिटवीन लाइटनिंग रिकॉर्ड फॉर्म एंड एडिट फॉर्म. ठीक है, आई थिंक दिस इज अ ब्लॉग लिंक फॉर blog from post trail, so original credit goes to the creator, content creator of this blog. बट इसमें इन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से तीनों का डिफरेंस बताया है. ठीक है, तो ये सारा आप लोग देख लें. देखो, इसमें ना डिफरेंट मोड होते हैं लाइटनिंग रिकॉर्ड फॉर्म में. व्यू मोड होता है, एडिट मोड होता है एंड रीड ओनली मोड होता है. ठीक है, और एडिट वाला ना ऑलवेज एडिट मोड में ही होता है. ठीक है, तो ये मेजर डिफरेंस होता है. और लाइटनिंग रीड में क्या, लाइटनिंग फॉर्म जो होता है नॉर्मल वाला, उसमें क्या होता है, 2 एट्रीब्यूट होते हैं. एक फुल एट्रीब्यूट होता है लेआउट का और एक कॉम्पैक्ट एट्रीब्यूट होता है. तो डिपेंड करता है आप कौन सा यूज करना चाहते हो. इसमें ऐसा एज सच कोई भी फील्ड
सर
एट्रीब्यूट.
इंग्लिश.
ठीक है, इसमें सेव एंड कैंसिल बटन ऑटोमेटिकली आते हैं. ठीक है, इसमें मतलब
सर
ऐसा नहीं आते. या है.
इंग्लिश.
Sorry guys, sorry. Okay, so what I was telling is in the lightning record form, we have different modes available. Okay, view mode, edit mode, and read only mode. Versus the lightning record edit form always gets opened in the edit mode. Okay. In the lightning record form, we have a layout type, and then you have to provide attribute. There are 2 options, full or the compact layout. So if you select full, then whole layout will be displayed. And if you select the compact, then compact layout will be displayed. But in the lightning record edit form, there is no such attribute available, and whole page will be displayed. Okay. Similarly, there are many other differences also available. I want you all to go through this because this is a most commonly asked questions from Lightning Data Services. Difference between Lightning Record view form, and Lightning Record edit form. I want each and every one of you to go through this. And again, credit goes to the blog creator who has spent a lot of time in writing and publishing it. Okay, I have
इसमें 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 एक और डिफरेंसेस है ना, तो मतलब कि एक में इनपुट स्टेजेस है और एक में आउटपुट स्टेजेस है.
I think everything will be mentioned here. If we go through this in detail, you will be able to get all the differences here. Okay.
Yeah, mention input field and output field.
ठीक है, so I want you all to go through that. Okay, how to get record ID in lightning component? Chaitanya, tell me.
Yes, sir. How do we get the record ID in
in
Lightning Web component?
हाँ,
By calling in the connected callback method by calling in wired method of the Apex class. You can fetch the record ID from the Apex class.
see, if your lightning web component is already in a record page, then it is already available. It is already available. All you need to do is to create a property and use the, come on,
Record ID.
yes.
Oh, I didn't know this.
If it is already in the if it is in the record page, your LWC is in the record page, it is already available. Okay. And otherwise, then it is not a record ID. It is just like a normal ID. Okay. Record ID makes only sense when your Lightning Web component is in the record page and you need not to do anything extra for that. Okay. Just use the proper decorator and record ID. That's it. API. Okay. Okay.
At the record ID name will fetch the record ID.
API and then a variable, a property with record ID. Okay. The name should be record ID. Okay.
So it will by default store the record ID.
Yeah, it will fetch the record ID automatically. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, next couple of questions are similar questions. I think they are part of single conversation. How, okay, let me ask this question. Okay, Ashish, you tell me how to write the test class for the future method.
The method. Do we use any annotation especially for future method?
See, we have been practicing from so long, and when all of the sudden a question like this comes in, we start thinking a lot like then there must be some trick in it, right? But there is no trick. Like whenever we'll have to write a test class for future method, that will be same as normal method, right? We just have to make whatever we are testing, it is inside the test.start test and test.stop test. That's it. Same way as other methods. Nothing special. He is just asking to bluff you. Nothing else. Okay. But he definitely wanted to understand test.start and test.stop. So explain that. Sometimes from the question, we'll have to understand what is the whole and soul of that question, what actually interviewer is looking for. And then if you get to know what that actually interviewer is looking for, you explain that thing. It's like putting nail in the coffin. Like this is what you wanted, this is what I'm giving you. So if you get to know that okay, he is looking for test.stop and test.stop, then let me explain that in the best possible manner. The moment you do that, he'll not have any further question on that topic. Okay, so I want you to explain test.stop and test.start here. That's what you will do in the interview. Okay. Same question. What are the two methods which we use specifically when we are writing test class for batch epics? What you will do for the batch epics? Okay, you tell Mayuri. Do we do anything extra for the batch epics?
No, it's the same. We use test.start test and test.stop test, and we call the batch class within that, and so that it runs synchronously.
So here also he was looking for same. He was just bluffing. He was just playing with the candidate because candidate might not be able to understand that what interview is looking for. So he was playing with the same question twice and thrice. Okay. And had candidate answered start in the beginning, he would not have got these 2, 3 further questions. So interviewer was giving him chance to explain this, but not sure if my student was able to answer this or not. Okay.
Sir, why do we use asynchronous in test or stop test and test? Like start and stop, like why we call between those for asynchronous?
You should answer me. Why do we use start
To
and
reset the governor limits.
Like in order to make that synchronous way, because test classes will need to execute at the same time. Like we cannot wait for it. So I know that a test or stop test and the start test will have a new set of governor limits. So in order to process that, like that method to be in a synchronous way, so we were using in between these two. Is it?
whatever is written inside in between this, you will collect everything and you will get the new set of governor limits to execute that particular thing which is written between the stop and start. Okay, so this is a way to do collect everything and get the new set of limits and then do this so that things will not you will have an additional limit and you will have extra time or extra resources to do those things. Okay, so that you do not get any governor limits. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the next question, guys.
So one second, I have one question.
Yes,
So
sir.
in one of the YouTube shorts, you have like shown why we like ideally we should not use see all data is equal to true, right? But you have like so in one scenario we can use like I want to know why we can use that see all data is equal to true.
If you go through the comments of that short, you will get the answer. Okay, so whenever you see any short where I have
No,
not
I have gone through the comment. I think for that there was no comment at that time. I missed.
Okay, this is
Maybe.
related. Okay, if you now go, there will be couple of answers which will say, okay, if you have to fetch something related to dashboard
Yeah,
or something related to reports
to
and you'll have
to
to
like
use.
to fetch the last password change date of the user, or to fetch the last login date of the user, or to track the field history values, then for that. And there are certain set of set up objects like two-factor methods info verification history object, where you need at the rate is see all data equal to true in order to fetch the data from the database.
Did you get the answer, Ali?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, see.
Mohit, I have one more question.
Yes, Abdesh,
Simple
go.
question. एक्चुअली ये जो टेस्ट स्टार्ट और टेस्ट स्टॉप है केवल हम एसिंक्रोनस के केस में यूज करते हैं, राइट ना? और
वैसे कर सकते हो, बट हाँ वैसे इसमें यूज करते हैं
और सिंक्रोनस में नॉर्मल हम मतलब वही यूटीआई यूटिल क्लासेस बना के और सब वो रिकॉर्ड
नहीं
लेके
करना है, मतलब ये है कि इसमें तो करना ही करना है। ठीक है, मतलब एक तरह से इसमें तो करना ही करना है।
ओके, आई गॉट आंसर, थैंक यू।
Guys, देखो जब भी मैं whenever I create such shorts where I have not provided answer, that is by purpose, that is purposefully, because I want people to see what happens is now our shorts most of the time freshers also watch our shorts and I don't want them to get in a habit where they get the answers straightforward, because that is not a right way to learn. Those who are experienced candidate, they can find their way and they will obviously get the answers. Okay, they may say bad things about that as well, why you're not putting, what do you think of yourself. But my concern is also for the freshers who should not get into the habit of getting answers straightforward, because I have learned so many things by researching or by just hearing the term from somebody and then researching on that thing. So that is what I want them also to think about it and do some googling around that thing and then get the answer. Okay, otherwise they'll just for straightforward answer, they'll not even think about the question, they'll just jump onto the answer. I don't want that. Okay, so that is the purpose I do that. See, the aim is not to become popular there. Okay, that has nothing to do with the popularity, and even if I become very popular there, that will not has a lot of advantages in terms of monetary advantages, because shorts does not fetch a lot of value, to be very frank, and we hardly get views in thousands. Okay, so 1,000 views will not even turn out to a rupee or two, so there is nothing monetary in terms of, but there is a lot of satisfaction when a fresher reply and say that, okay sir, because of you I researched about it and I learned something new that day. That gives me extra pleasure. Okay, let's move on to the next question, guys. This is a good question, and I want answer from the group. We have one child component which contains a method. Now I want to call that method inside of a parent component. How we can do that? Okay, so there is a parent component and then there is a child component. Child component is inside the parent component. What I want is that in the parent component, I want to access the method of child component. Okay, we have done this practically during our parent to child communication. And yes, Neha, answer this.
Just a minute.
Hi, Neha, you have raised your hand.
Yes,
You answer this,
yes.
please.
For this, we will create a custom event in chat, event and dispatch it, and then in parent we will listen that custom event.
Okay, we need not to do that. Okay, because see what question is saying, let me rephrase it. What it is saying that I want to call the method inside our parent component, and here controller is parent, okay, not the child component. So in the parent component, we have embedded the child component, and let's say there is a button on parent component. On click of that button, I want to call the method of child component. So here the trigger point or the initiator of this communication is parent component, not the child component. When we launch a custom event from child component, in that case, child component is the trigger point, but here parent component is the trigger point. Okay, so this comes under the parent to child communication first. Okay, now
So
rephrase this.
we can use the template dot query selector and passing the child component name inside the template,
Correct.
inside that yes
That-
parameter, and
that-
then after
yes, that is
calling the method, right?
we already have child component inside the template of parent component. Okay, in the button, let's say there is a button on parent component. On the button click of it, we will call the parent component's handler. In the handler, we will use the this dot template dot query selector dot tag name of child component dot method name. Because we already have the tag of child component, we have whole child component in it. So dot tag name of child component dot method name, and then we will get the method and whatever we want to do inside. Okay, so we can do that. Okay, now this is a theoretical question, and by this time interviewer had a fair idea about whether he want to select the candidate or not. He asked, okay, tell me this difficult scenario, because he might not be 100% sure about whether you have worked or how much you have worked on LWC. He asked about, tell me a challenging scenario you have faced while working on LWC. And these kind of questions mostly comes by the end of your interview. They will ask challenging scenario about LWC, challenging scenario about integration, challenging scenario about trigger, challenging scenario about flows, or in general, what is the most challenging scenario you have done this year, something like that, just to get to know that you are up and running and working on difficult things even today as well. Okay, so that was the intention of this question. Also, be ready for the cross questioning on questions like this, because when you tell some challenges, you need not to just tell the scenario, you will also have to answer it in three steps. First, what was the scenario? Second, what was the difficulty on it, why you feel it was difficult, and then third, what did you do to solve it? Okay, so this question comes with not just the question but also on how did you solve that challenge, or how did you overcome that challenge. So make sure that you tell how did you solve that challenge, because although it is just the question of telling the challenge, the actual ask is that you tell how did you solve that challenge. Okay, so make sure you answer it in such a manner. Also, why it was difficult for you is also very important, because difficulty also varies person to person. For a first year student or for a first year developer, simple things could be difficult, but for a fourth year student, for a fourth year developer, those could be very simple things. So it is a subjective thing, but you will have to tell your side of the story why it was difficult for you. Okay. All right. And then last question, how we identify relationship in SOQL for both custom and standard object. See, from the question, it is not very clear. Like if I ask this question many times, even the candidate will not understand what I'm looking for. Okay, so if I throw this question to, let me pick. If I want to ask this question, where is my mouse? Is not working. Okay, if I ask this question to you, Tanmay, are you there to answer this question?
Yeah, hi Mohit. Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
tell me, how we identify relationship in SOQL for both custom and standard object?
uh, to identify relationship in the sense, I didn't got the question, to be honest, Mohit. So
And this will happen with most of us, that question like this are hard to understand. So, and that is my
Basically, I guess he's asking for like underscore underscore C, or it is not that. That is the thing, I
SOQL
guess.
query.
Related.
Is he asking about
Underscore underscore R, maybe.
Let me tell my point, guys. Okay, so in a SOQL query, there are different types of SOQL queries. Okay, understanding relationship between means that relationship between, let's say there are parent to child parent to child query, or you can say child to parent query. There are two types of query. Okay, so how will you understand the relationship between them? Okay, if we have used the dot notation. Okay, dot notation basically means that we are going from child to parent. Okay, so if we are on the contact object and we write account dot name, then from the contact we're trying to fetch the account's name. We are going from child to parent. Whereas let's say if there is a subquery, then we will have the parent to child kind of communication. So try to ask follow-up question on these type of questions, because if it is not clear to you, then it is better to ask follow-up question than going in the wrong direction. Maybe he was just looking for parent to child and child to parent communication, or maybe he just wanted to know that what is underscore underscore R. Okay, so you just ask the follow-up question on what he is actually looking for and then answer that instead of directly going in the wrong direction. So these are the questions, and I think this was not so difficult interview. It was a kind of medium interview, but if you are not like if you are not practicing for interview, then it could be difficult for you. So if I go and give interview and this is my first interview, I might feel that this is a difficult interview. But if I am giving interviews and this was my third or fourth or fifth interview, then I feel that this was an easy interview compared to other interviews, because now I am up and running and my practice is good on the giving interviews. So this was a medium interview. I don't call it very difficult, but it the interviewer was definitely good. Try to ask the logical questions, try to ask the questions which will actually see if you have worked on it. There is not so much theoretical questions, or he's not going to fundamentals on what is Salesforce and what are the types of relationships. So he's not looking for those kind of questions. He's bang on the things he's looking for, like LWC, like batch epics, like triggers, or the solutions on test classes. And it is obviously a LWC heavy interview where there were more question on the LWC side. So my verdict is a medium interview, but if you are giving it as a first interview, could be difficult for you as well. Okay. So with that, I will be stopping the recording and we will open the chit chat round for further questions, and then we will pick the next techno managerial round for the next day discussion. Okay. And I think that will be our first techno managerial discussion in this bootcamp. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Let me stop the recording.